Hey everyone! So tonight I wanted to discuss Philip Glass's, which I believe is his second opera, and that is Satyagraha. This was originally, I believe this premiered back in 1980, and I think my favorite thing about it being released in 1980 was he was right in the middle of Koyaanisqatsi, because if I'm not mistaken, I think that came out in 82. I'm not 100% about that, but I think it was around 82. And so this has that sort of like heavy bass Koyaanisqatsi feel, or Koyaanisqatsi has this feel. It's hard to say because it's around this point too that he released Glassworks, which is like one of his like biggest and most like revered records ever. And so you could argue that it has a Glassworks vibe as well. But I'm not really into opera. I do prefer opera on this side of the fence where there isn't a lot of like what I would define as talk singing, because I find like they have to sing the dialogue for some reason, and I always found that to be really distracting and kind of annoying. Whereas I found the vocals on here are more like in the traditional song sense. It's a song that's being sung that is telling part of a story. And that's what I prefer. And I think my favorite thing about this particular opera is just how massive it sounds and how swirling the strings are, and how like Act 2, Scene 1. I mean, that it's funny too, because actually, wait, before I get into how I feel about Act 2, Scene 1, when you look this up on Spotify versus the old school physical release that I have here, see, they're labeled completely different on Spotify. And so I'm not exactly sure what to call the track, so I'm just going by the one that I have here, and that is Act 2, Scene 1, Act 2, Scene 2, and Scene 3. And I would say Act 2 overall is my favorite act from this opera. But it's weird because, yeah, like I said, when you look this up on Spotify, each of the acts, like each of the scenes from and each of the acts have a title. Like I believe my favorite on Spotify is, I think it's called Operation and Rescue, or wait, hang on, that's going to drive me crazy. I have to look that up. It'll only take a minute, and you would think that I would be a little more prepared than that, wouldn't you? Where is Satyagraha? I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. I have no idea at this point. Maybe I'll just cut all of this out. Or maybe I won't. I don't like cutting things out. I like these to be more honest. I don't mind that I'm not prepared. There's Koyaanisqatsi. That's the later release. Satyagraha. 1985 here. Confrontation and Rescue, actually, is what it's called, not Operation and Rescue. I think I was saying Operation and Rescue because of the Bad Religion song, Operation Rescue. That's probably exactly what it is. So it's Confrontation and Rescue here. So I don't know if these names always existed, because I know I have the book for this somewhere too, but these things came in these big, heavy, elaborate cardboard, like fold-out boxes, and I don't keep them with them because these fit better in my holders behind me, and I have those stored elsewhere. So maybe in the book, the Confrontation and Rescue is, if that's how it's referred to. I'm not 100% sure, but Confrontation and Rescue is my favorite track on here altogether. But I will say the second act, as a, like if you look at it as disc 1, disc 2, disc 3, I would say Act 2 or disc 2 is my absolute favorite. I find that the songs on, or the parts on that disc or that act seem to have the most movement. They seem to swirl the most, and they seem to almost get sort of heavy with the bass lines. Well, maybe I shouldn't use the word bass line in regards to classical music. But at the same time, Philip Glass's bass does get sort of bass-liney, and he sort of has this real like heavy synthesized quality to his bass. And I love that about his works. It creates like a largeness to everything. Like everything is, it's very, like I said, it's swirling and it's all around you. It's like you're caught in like a typhoon of like Glass's sort of repetitious bigness, if that makes like any sense at all. And that's what I love about Satyagraha. I found with Einstein on the Beach, I found parts of it to be really fun and really catchy, but that is really overwhelming. There's the counting and the speed and the repetition. It can drive you crazy. And whereas I found with Aachen, I found it to be too sparse at times. And I like Aachen, but at the same time, like I said, I found it to be a little too spacious and a little too spread out. This, to me, Satyagraha, is his most complete opera that he released, at least from his initial 3 operas from this period. And again, this was released in the 80s, and this is a decade that I would definitely say belonged to Philip Glass in a lot of ways, especially, I mean, I discussed this already in my solo piano review, and I'm not sure if that's out yet, but I kind of was torn between whether the 80s belonged to Philip Glass or Michael Nyman. And in a lot of ways, they both did some really serious stuff in the 1980s. But I forgot to mention how Philip Glass released Glassworks, too. So I think the title would probably, King Composer of the 1980s, would probably go to Philip Glass because of that. That's yet another massive release from him. But yeah, so look, I am going to go. I think I've said enough, or I've said a little just over and over again. I'm not really sure anymore. I've done so many of these, I feel like dizzy by the time these news... I gotta get to a doctor or something. Everything freaks me out now. Why is this falling off? Stay on there. Is that even... whatever. I gotta learn to chill out. That almost gave me a heart attack. So... I was saying something. I don't know what it was. Thank you so much for hanging out with me while I discussed Philip Glass's second opera, and that is Satyagraha. If you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. And I'm going to go and hopefully calm down. Have a good night. I just wanted to say thank you for making it through the entire video. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to remind everyone one more time, even though I've probably already done this in the video that you just watched, to please click the like button as well as the subscribe button because it helps this channel grow. And thank you for hitting like and subscribe, and we will see you guys really soon.